Hey, what is up, people? Hopefully, you're having a great day. I've got a very special guest here with me today, which we'll get into in just 1 second. I'm going to give people a little bit of time to show up. We actually got a lot of people saying they wanted to actually hear about this very specific thing that Nate's going to be sharing with us today when it comes to managing a big book of business online, actually managing a lot of active clients. So, I'm going to give people a little bit of time to show up. If you are showing up, say hello in the comments. Say hello, say hi, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and let us know that you can hear this, that you can see this, that you're watching it live with us. And if you're watching back on the replay, also give us a hi. Don't be shy. Like, get involved.
We want to
We
hear.
like to see people getting involved, don't we, Nate?
How about this, Alex? Like, okay, if you want to hear about managing 60 online clients, like throw us the thumbs up emoji, throw us the biceps emoji. If you want to hear me go into talking about my new obsession of perineum sunning, put the peach emoji up though. Like, let's get some, like, let's switch gears completely if we want to,
We
let's
can
call an
throw some
audible.
We can throw some curveballs in here. So we've
Do you
got
know what
some people
perineum sunning
joining in.
is?
I don't actually know what it is, so maybe
Do you know what the
we'll
perineum
reserve
is?
that. I have no idea.
Oh,
Does anyone? Does anyone in the comments, before you reveal what it is, does anyone in the comments know what it is? Let us know in the comments.
I'm so
Well,
excited to find out if this is just,
anyone knows.
yeah,
If
if
it's just
anyone
your own
knows,
obsession. It's just
or
your
if
own
I'm just
obsession.
like the whitest person on planet Earth.
All right, so we've got some people. We've got Morgan here. Good to see you. I can't actually see who's in the Facebook group or who's on LinkedIn, but I imagine people want us to get into the juiciness of this podcast, to get
The
into spilling
perineum
the
sunning.
tea,
Yeah.
so to
Oh,
speak.
yeah.
Like, people just want to hear what you've got to say, Nate. You're a popular guy. You're an entertaining guy. So let's dive into it. So we're going to record an episode of the Remote Coaches podcast right now, right here. If you haven't already, then this is Nate's recommendation: is you shoot, or I'm messing my words up here. You should subscribe to the podcast. Just search on any of the major platforms, type in Remote Coaches, it's going to come up. You can hear Nate back if you want to hear his voice again, or you can listen to another one of the guests. But definitely go check that out on any of the platforms. But today we're going to be diving into actually managing a big book of business, actually managing 60 plus clients. I actually think that I'm doing you a disservice in saying how many clients you've actually been able to manage, because you've been online since 2015 full time. You're someone that I know, that I respect, that runs a very successful online business. You're the host of the Low Carb Hustle podcast. You've got your own poddy. You are an author, an acclaimed author of the $1 Million Body book. Hopefully I'm saying that right, which you've got that too. And you've worked with a lot of clients. And I think at your peak, you had over 100 online fitness clients. Is that right, Nate?
Yeah, I had 104. That was a lot. That was probably too many.
Okay, so 104 clients, which is a lot more than 60. So I'd love to dive into that with you. And I'm sure people are going to have specific questions. So if you hear Nate talking and you want to get some more details about how he's managed to handle over 100 clients, and you're live with us, let us know in the comments, and we can ask those directly to Nate, because I'm going to be checking the group. I'm going to be checking my profile. But Nate, let's start like how you got into the online space and like where it all begun for you. I want to give people a little bit of context before we get into the goodies.
Okay. And I like this too, because I think that, when you talk about like online coaches, and we see a lot of people promoting building your business and stuff, like, it's like, oh, you get to 10K a month, no problem. You're just shipping off programs and people are getting great results. And that's not my experience at all of how this went. It was this slow, arduous, painful process that involved me failing probably like 500 times before I had any semblance of like a good program that I was proud of. But in 2015, I was like, my wife and I were in Seattle. I had a great business in person. I'm a fantastic in-person trainer. I can say that pretty honestly. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to be able to take this business and turn it straight into an online coaching business. I'm going to be a fantastic online coach. And I sucked. I was bad at it, because in person, I was like right there with people. I gotten like the right amount of encouragement and tweak their this right so much. And like, okay, now push yourself. All right, now pull back a little bit. And you just don't have that same type of interaction with an online coach. So I wasn't able to bring a lot of the assets that I thought I brought to in-person training. So I had to develop a bunch of new skills, learn a ton, get a ton of feedback from people. Not all of it was, great for my ego. So what I was doing originally was, okay, so we were in Seattle. My wife and I decide, hey, let's sell all of our belongings and move to South America for a year to see how it goes. So I had a couple of clients who were like, hey, can we still work out with you? Can you write us programs? And I was like, yeah, sure. Sounds good. So what I was doing is I was writing Excel documents and I was like, all right, goblet squat, 3 sets, 8 reps, weight, include your weight in that. Like, oh, I'm smart. I got the weight section in there. And I would just send these Excel documents to people. And for the right person, it worked. I'm actually having some friends come into town this Friday that have been with me since 2014. They trained me in person and then they've been with me online for the last 7 years. And for them, they loved it. They were like, I know what a goblet squat is. I can do it. But for a lot of people, they needed more accountability. They needed more work on their habits. They needed more nutrition and lifestyle pieces. And I wasn't really providing those, and definitely not at a high level initially. But like in my infinite wisdom, as I was going through this, I'm shipping off workouts and I'm like, why aren't people doing my workouts? I don't get it. So I was like, oh, you know what it is? I need videos. Got to have videos. That was my problem. So I filmed like 200 workout videos, went to the gym, spent like a couple hours there, just filmed a bunch, put them all up on YouTube. And then I would go in and I would take the link from YouTube and I would put in the Excel document box, and writing my workouts took now 3 times as long. But I was like, you know what, though? It's worth it because people are going to get the videos, and that's what they needed to succeed. No, incorrect. Also, not addressing the problem. I was trying to shortcut the process and be like, oh, if I just send them this thing and I can just kind of back away, they're going to get results. And that didn't happen either. And it wasn't until I started really thinking about, where are these people coming from? Where is my client at in their transformation timeline? Because I'm working with people who I think of it as a kind of in between phase 2 and phase 3. Phase 2 is like, oh, you've gotten some initial results. It feels really good. Phase 3 is what I think of as the valley of death. It's where you're like, oh, you fall off. Life gets in the way. Stuff gets kind of hard. You got some results, but you were really like motivated and consistent. Now you're less so. And people bounce between phase 2 and phase 3 a lot. And those are my clients. Those are the people I talk to all the time. Those are people I work with. But I was over here delivering to stage 4 clients, people who already had a great handle on their training, who already liked the gym, who already were excited about working out. So my niche did not match up with my deliverables. And I didn't even realize that. So one thing, if I could give some like recommendations based on what was really helpful for me, what shortcut my process by like 5-6 years, was write out the transformation timeline. What does your client go through? What are the steps? What are the symptoms of each step? And what is the checklist that they need to accomplish to move from step 2 to step 3, to go from that initial momentum to the valley of death? What happens between those two? How do they go from the valley of death to that, like the long way home is what I call it, or the long way up, where they start realizing like, hey, it's not a simple fix. It's not a 6-week detox. And then figure out who do you work with? Where are your people? Are they brand new? Are they coming in off the street? Never worked out in the gym before? Great. Talk to them, give them the workouts they need. Speak their language, right? And if you're not there, you're somewhere else, speak their language, and that was really critical to my evolution and actually coming up with a program that people could get use out of. So I feel like I've meandered a bunch there. So does that answer any question that you had?
It actually sparks something that may be on some people's minds, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into the journey up to 100 clients. But you mentioned about creating some videos and creating some workouts, and you thinking, that is it. Like, this is what I need to do in order to help my clients get better results. Maybe if you're listening to this right now and this is on your mind too, let us know in the comments or give us a head nod if you're listening back on the audio version later. Are you thinking of maybe creating some videos to actually provide to your clients, like workout videos specifically? And do you think that is going to be a beneficial thing that you're going to be able to deliver to your clients? Because your hot take, Nate, is it didn't really change anything for you. And it sounded like it didn't really have a big impact on your business. And it cost you a lot of time and energy creating those videos.
Totally. And I think that a lot of us, we want to have branded workouts and like our logos and fly-ins and super, super cool stuff as we're thinking about our colors and our logo before we think about like, What are the building blocks? What are the foundational pieces of our program? Where are our clients coming in off of? Are they coming off the street, or have they been in the gym for 3 years? Like, and until you know that, it doesn't matter what your logo looks like or what brand colors you have. Those things are all like in excess, right? I put in videos of people who are not like, I don't even put in my own videos. Sometimes if I find a move, I'm like, oh, I really like the way he explains it. He's doing this exercise really well. My clients don't care. They care about the end result. You know, they don't care about who's showing them how to do a bicep curl. Doesn't matter.
I think that's really important thing to like take away from this is the clients don't necessarily care so much about the vehicle. They care about the result that they're getting. And sure, you can make the vehicle comfortable, but also you've got to kind of make these decisions between what is really going to be a needle mover and what is going to be a good use of your time. And if you look at the applications that are out there right now, Trainerize, True Coach, PT Distinction, there's millions of them, right? You can create your own versions of them with like Coach Catalyst, etc. They've got very well produced videos that explain everything for you. And so like you need to kind of like weigh things up, right, Nate? Like, do I go and do all this work when actually like I could actually tap into an application that delivers it? And where could I provide additional value where that doesn't exist, where I don't already have the resources to be able to plug people into? And I think it's thinking about the bigger picture, about like what is available to you in these applications and what is missing from those applications, and what is the personalization that you can put into things that are actually going to help your clients move forward. Can we speak to that in terms of the evolution of you understanding this and finding ways to actually improve your delivery in the journey up to 100 plus clients?
Yeah, because I always thought that like I needed to compete with these other entities. And so like if I'm trying to compete with Coach Catalyst or Train Heroic, I'm going to lose every time. That's what they do, is they put out programs. They have great videos. They have great ways of tracking their stuff. So why don't you just join in with them and then you do what makes you uniquely you, right? People don't buy coaching, they buy coaches. So if you have something that's really special about you, your philosophy, your personal story, this is another thing that I've been learning, is that like when people don't like it, when you go, you know what you need to do is this, this, and this, but people love it. And you can't argue with you when you go, you know what I did to create success for myself? You know what I've done with some of my clients to create success? And you tell them the story rather than being like preachy. And that's something that I'm super guilty of. I'm real preachy. Very much want to be a TED Talk. Everything I do is TED Talk. So trying to compete with like Train Heroic or Coach Catalyst is a losing proposition. Instead, double down on what makes you super unique, and then, you know, start mobilizing and monetizing that. So that was, again, kind of like a turning point for me. And that was happening in 2018. So I'd already been doing this for 3 years at what I would consider a lowish level. Like getting it, you know, I'd have a client, they'd be on for 3 months, they'd fall off. I'd have a client, like I spent all my time in acquiring clients because my retention was so bad. You know, and I had a couple of mainstays, people who were kind of stayed with me, like stacking them up kind of over the years. But I've gotten a lot better at that by designing the programs that fit with the stage of the journey they're on as well. So I went all in on an app called Total Coaching, I think, which I've since changed. I'm using Train Heroic now, just better. But one thing that I started doing was talking with my clients about like what are your problems? What are you working on? What are the hard things in life? And so one of my ideal clients, this guy, high school athlete, gifted, busy, starting a business, dad of 4, baby on the way. He goes, look, Nate, I need to lose weight. I know that. I am not going to work out, and I'm not going to really dedicate a lot of time to losing weight at the moment. I just have so much going on. I was like, great, awesome. I'd rather get a good no than a bad yes. Perfect. So he goes, but here's what I do need is my energy sucks. I drink 3 Monsters every single day. I come home at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and I crash on the couch. I watch ESPN for 30 minutes because I can't even hang out with my kids until I have some downtime to detox. I'm just so exhausted all the time. I wake up tired. It's like, okay, great. Let's work on your energy first. And he goes, oh, yeah. By the way, I'm going to eat out 5 times per week because I'm in my truck all day long. I was like, all right, great. Let's do it. So I backed off the training completely, right? I wasn't like, he didn't want training. So we were doing like 10-minute walks, you know, something super easy. Wasn't like trying to develop these like amazing like bodybuilding programs or ways to like functionally work your core. He didn't give a shit about that. So instead we went exactly where he was at. My energy sucks and I don't feel like I'm a good parent. Good. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to change your breakfast to be this. You're going to have one of these 3 options when you're on the road in your truck. And then your dinners can be one of these 7 things that you're going to alternate between on a weekly basis. Get your wife on board so you guys are on the same page. All right, awesome. So like fast forward 2 months, I'm like, Jason, how's everything going with you? And he's like, dude, it's been so good. I was like, I'm glad to hear that. Tell me more. And he's like, okay, so I get home. I've got a ton of energy. I feel really good. I feel really clear when I'm like on the road, making sales, pitching my clients. He's building a roofing business. And he's like, my wife has noticed a huge difference. My kids have noticed a huge difference. It's like, it's been working. I was like, that is so awesome. Like, that's amazing to hear that this kind of like afterthought for me, something that I hadn't even considered as being a necessity for my clients, is really the thing that's killing it for you. And he goes, oh, by the way, I lost 22 pounds in the last 2 months. And I was like, okay, like we might be onto something here. So paying attention to those clues that, number one, that your clients give you in terms of like what they're looking for, the words they use, the verbiage, like their pain points, but as well as like what works for people. What do you see getting people wins? Where are people getting like that, building momentum? What is painful for them? How can you remove the pain and add in things that are easy and fast for them? Because if I hadn't listened to him, I would probably still be grinding my gears trying to sell people on why the push-ups that I do are better than the push-ups that Paul Carter does. And that's a losing battle for me. Paul Carter is better at push-ups than I am, and is like, I can't compete with him on those things because he's like, he's just like there are coaches who are better. So like trying to now utilize the things that are unique to me, unique to my skill set, unique to my clients, and really being like, hey, if you're a business owner and a parent who needs more energy in the afternoon, here's the specific program that you need to be using. And then when I started using those words and started listening to my clients and saying them back to people, like I get a lot of flack, Alex, because I have a program called the 5-Day Sugar Detox. And people who don't know me are like, isn't a detox? Don't your body do that? Isn't it a cleanse? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but what good is it for me to like come back to someone's face and be like, don't you know a cleanse is stupid? Don't you know detox is what your body does when you're in autophagy? Like that doesn't serve anyone. Makes me look like a douchebag, which happens a lot. And then also like, how is me throwing that stuff back in people's faces helping elevate the health of the US? It's not. So I'm using the words my clients are using. I'm using the phrases they use. I'm trying to use those things in a way that's going to get them involved in the conversation. And that was like a big pivot moment for me where I started getting people reaching out and being like, I heard like you did a live, you talked about this thing. You posted something and you said it really resonated with me. I saw you talking about this and it like that made a lot of sense to me. I never heard it explained like that. And once people started saying that, my business went from this kind of like stagnant, like up and down plateau business to like gradually creeping up. And I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, overnight success, 6 figures. But like I started getting people actually interested in my services rather than having to go out and pitch and find clients and acquire.
So Nate, if I can dive in here just to kind of wrap up what you said so that everyone can just like take away what you said over the last couple of minutes. If you were to just summarize that, tipping point or that upward swing in your business, like what would you put it down to?
This is a good question.
One sentence.
I told you the TED Talk is real. The rant is listen to your clients, deliver what they want, and remove the pains that they don't want. So if you believe that burpees are the best exercise, but your clients are all like, we hate burpees, take them out. Don't ever program a burpee.
Really just listening and simplifying. That's all I'm hearing right now. Listening and simplifying. And I think this is almost like a very difficult thing to sometimes do because as a coach myself, you're a coach, we have a lot in us. And for everyone listening, you probably have a lot of knowledge, a lot of ideas, a lot of skills, a lot of programs that you want to spin out and workouts that you want to program. But your clients don't necessarily want all that stuff. They just want simplicity. They're looking for an easy life, not a hard life. And so if you can remove some of the barriers and the obstacles for them when it comes to actually getting what they want, that's what's going to allow you to get amazing results and attract more clients and just simplify what you do. And I imagine this has allowed you to then add and stack clients, because if your business is too complicated or you're delivering too much, it can be probably very difficult to scale that business up to a level where you're doing 60, 70, 80, 100 plus active client management at a single time. But if you simplify, then it's more manageable. Did you notice that being true for you?
100%. Because even like initially I was like, I got it. What people need to do is they need to download my app. They need to get into my membership site. They need to watch my videos. They need to do the homework. And I was like, I figured out the formula. How do I blow this up and make it so complicated that it covers literally every nuance, every base? And that didn't work either, So I was like, I was onto it. And then it was like, well, that's hard. So I had to, again, just go back in and just ruthlessly cut stuff out. So people come to my program, the first 2 months of my program, everyone has the same workouts, and trainers can't believe when I tell them that I get results, because they're like, "Why has a custom workout? You're just going to give people what like this?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a proven workout. It's 20 minutes. It gets them on the right track." So I cut out kill your darlings is like a thing that they say in writing. I cut out all these things that I love about my program. I cut out all this talking about the post-workout window and talking about these great exercises and tempo training and time under tension and stuff. I killed all that stuff because it wasn't important right off the bat. And what's awesome is that now that my program is my month one program is so simple, I delivered in a handbook. Everyone gets the same handbook. You go through the program, you develop the basics, you start understanding the linguistics that I use, like the language that I'm using when I talk about training. And now you got a solid base. So then next month I take it, I add a little bit to it, not too much, nothing crazy. Do one check-in, no problem. And then by the time we get month 3, that's when I can be like, boom, secret sauce, get in my app, try this training methodology, do this time under tension. And I have buy-in, I have results, I have momentum. And now people stay with me for years. I got people who like I said, I got clients who've been with me for 7 years. Most people seem to be re-upping every single year. I've got a program in place that allows people to kind of buy into a membership. They get the kind of the accountability, the check-ins, they get the training and stuff like that, but they want to be a part of the system because they already learned the basics. It's not confusing to them anymore. And then the more they stick around, the more they're reinforcing and seeing the results happen. And then I'm also holding them accountable with some easy systems that I have in place.
I love this approach. And if we were to summarize things up, it's just less is more and simple first. And then once you have client buy-in, and they trust you and trust the process, that's when you can layer in more technical based stuff that you want to be able to provide and teach your clients. That's what I'm getting from what you're sharing right now, and kind of resonates with what I do with the clients inside of the Remote Coaches Academy. It's like a simple launch plan to begin with, kind of learning the fundamentals and basics, nothing too complicated. And then we start diving a little bit deeper, refining, mastering, developing new strategies and skills. So a lot of parallels between what I'm doing with my clients and what you're doing with your clients. But I just want to do a little check with the audience because we've got quite a few people tuned in live right now. I'd love to see what people's biggest takeaway is so far. So for all of you guys that are listening right now, let us know what your biggest takeaway is so far in the comments when it comes to actually managing a big book of business and actually getting clients results. What are you learning from Nate? Let us know in the comments below, because I'm sure there's going to be some good takeaways so far. I want to ask you more of a personal question when it comes to managing a bigger business, managing that many clients as a business owner. How did that feel? Was there any... Actually, I'm going to stop there. I kind of just I don't want to lead you somewhere. I just want to see how you felt at that level, whether it was good, whether it was bad. I want to hear how you felt at that level.
Yeah, so I definitely think that it's possible. It's to manage, you can manage 60 clients easily. You can manage 100 clients easily. The problem came for me when I was trying to manage these clients, launch a new program, keep doing my marketing and bringing in existing people. And I had a good system in place for some of the client stuff, but I lacked a lot of the systems around the marketing, the acquisition. I just didn't have those pieces in place. So it felt for me like 100 clients, like I said, it was too much for me. I had a launch that I was doing for a quarter, a 4-week like jumpstart program. Then I had my basic, my regular clients. And then I had some people who are in the membership program. And so I felt like I was just spinning plates all the time, always busy, always on my phone, never really focused on my family when I got home, because there was always like a fire to put out. Hey, you didn't update my workouts. Oh, I can't do a leg extensions. And I was like, oh, always running. I always felt frazzled. But I think that if my only job had been client management, client coaching, would have been way easier. But having to try to do all these things, everything you teach with remote coaching, is like, it was so much because I didn't systemize that side. I thought I could systemize this piece and then just kind of make it all the rest of it as I went along. And this has still been, again, a work in progress. I'm a big ready, fire, aim type of person. I'm just going to go do stuff until I figure out how it's broken. And then I'll try to fix it. But so it's been a gift and a curse. But yeah, I felt pretty like run pretty ragged with a high client load like that. But it was, again, not the client load. It was the lack of systems on the back end for the business.
Got it. And then you settled like where are you right now when it comes to your client load? Are we around the 60 mark?
I'm at 65 right now. And that's been great for me because I have some, I'm like I think a lot of the systems are in place that I need for marketing. A lot of the systems are in place kind of around the podcast, how I'm using that to acquire new customers. And honestly, like I've had a couple of weeks, like last week and then this week, Alex, where I've like looked around and been like, am I lazy? Am I doing everything? Is something happening where am I missing something? Am I missing appointments right now? Because I haven't had like that, like one thing to the next thing and back and forth and back and forth. I've had like a little bit of downtime in between like calls and creation and stuff. And it's felt weird. But I also think that like I've really enjoyed having a little bit more space for my brain to be able to not necessarily be thinking about a million different things, trading different hats out all the time.
Yeah, it sounds like you've kind of settled into your systems and your infrastructure and kind of like the balance between the client load, like knowing where the optimal amount is for you, like 60 to 70 gives you then opportunity to work on clients, work on the business, do your podcast, do other things, which is kind of neat,
right now with everything in place, I could go to 90 easily without kind of the other stuff, just like everything in place, everything looking good, everything feel like all the systems doing the heavy lifting for me. I could do 90 without a headache this time.
So what I'm hearing from you, Nate, is it's like going up to this big client load, getting to that load, realizing the systems and infrastructure maybe on the back end is not there to handle the client load too much, getting frazzled, scale back down again to the 60 range. Now realizing that you've got more time on your hands and maybe like twiddling your fingers a little bit and realizing actually, you know what, with the systems and infrastructure I've got in place, I could probably scale back up again to 90. Is that the goal for you, or are you just going to play it cool at 60, just 60 clients?
I'm just kind of relaxing right now. I just want to like make sure that like, I feel like I go in the phases of like client acquisition and then program design. And so right now I'm kind of back into a program design phase where I'm reaching out to all my clients and being like, hey, how did the first 2 months go for you? Where are you at right now? How are everything's feeling? What are the obstacles you're running into? What would you change about the program? So I'm getting a lot of that feedback. And now I'm going in and updating some of my lessons and tweaking a few things about it and changing a couple of pieces around to give better service and results to people. And this is not necessarily an actual like lesson or thing about carbs or whatever else. But one thing that I've done recently that I'm loving, and I'm loving what it's done for my community and my clients and kind of the expectations they've set, is I went and I created core values for my business. This is something that like I've always thought was like, oh, you core values, like who needs that? You just need to go get clients. You just need marketing, right? But I went in and I created some core values around the things that I personally believe are important. And then also the things that I want to kind of inundate people's brains with these ideas. And I've been loving it. So before people can even get access to anything, they have to go through and sign a contract saying, I've read, I understand, and I agree to abide by the core values in this business. And that I think has been creating like a better community. And then when I go like, hey, Alex, you said that you were going to hit your 3 workouts this week and then you didn't. Okay. So you made a commitment to me and then you didn't follow through on it. On our core values, one of them is be inevitable. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. You didn't really follow through on that. What do you think? and it's not necessarily like me being like, hey, you did a bad job and I'm mad at you. It's like, hey, listen, you said you do the core values, you didn't do the core values. What's up? And it kind of gives us this standard to look back to. So I don't have to be the bad guy and like, but it's like, hey, here's the agreement. You said this, you made this commitment. What's up?
Oof, I like this. This is super powerful. It's almost like you're setting the standard from day one, and you're using the standard as the benchmark for compliance, where you don't come across like you're pointing the finger at your clients that they're not following through on what they should be doing. You're just saying, hey, the standards say that this is what we're trying to uphold here, and we agree to these standards. So it sounds like it's positioned in a way where it's not finger pointing. It's just, this is what the standards are. This is what we've agreed to uphold. Like, what's going on? Like, how do we make sure that we're reaching these standards? What can I do to support you to get to these standards that are going to get you the results? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been fantastic. I love having that rather than having to feel like I'm the bad guy and I have to like have a really hard conversation. You know, I can just point back and be like, well, when dad gets home, you know?
Love it. We've been going for a best part of 30 minutes. Hopefully some people got some value. I saw keeping it simple first. Simple is key. People like the simplicity in your message and what you've kind of figured out after a lot of trial and error, so to speak, with working with a lot of clients since 2015. That's seven years, so to speak. For the trainers that are kind of breaking into the online space, maybe they've got a couple of clients, maybe they've got no clients, maybe they're just trying to get traction online. If you were to go back in time and just like give yourself some advice, some steps, a roadmap in a simple format, let's keep it with the simple theme, like what would you do or what would you say in that scenario, Nate, if you were to start over again?
So I feel like going back to like this is something that I've done recently, and then I did again, which is write out my client transformation timeline. And maybe you call it something else, right? But again, this is about creating the lexicon. This is about creating verbiage around your program that is unique to you. So you write this out. Where do people start? Where do they go through? What are the problems and the challenges that happen at each stage? You figure out, because I think a lot of people think, oh, my niche is garbage men. And like, well, like maybe not, but like there's a spectrum of those people too, right? So figuring out where your ideal client is coming from, generally what they're dealing with, what their problems are, what their obstacles are, I think is more important than being like, what profession are you in? So figuring that out and then talking about it all the time. Then going and scripting out at least the first, I'd say 6 to 12 weeks of your client's journey, because people don't want bespoke. They don't want custom. They want proven. And I think a lot of good trainers fall into this trap of thinking everything needs to be customized. No one cares about that. They want results. They want proven systems in place. And if you can go and be like, hey, here's the path, here's where you are, and here's the exact steps that I have created that get you from phase 2 to phase 3, which is exactly the steps you need to follow, then you're the obvious choice. It's not like, oh, I have a custom program. Like I wrote a program for a guy one time. He only had a cinder block in his backyard. I wrote him an exercise program based off of a cinder block. It took me like 4 hours. It was horrible. But I was just taking any client, anytime, any place. You know, it doesn't matter. He was like, I want to work with a cinder block. I was like, oh, we can do that. Oh, it's your custom program. Well, let's go. You know, like that. And that didn't serve him, and that didn't serve me. And it was just kind of this one-off. Like he paid me like $50 for a program, and I never saw him again. You know, it wasn't a good transaction for either of us. So like figure out what's that timeline look like? What are the symptoms of each phase? What are the action steps for each phase? And then create like a bridge between even just like one phase, like going from phase 2 to phase 3, phase 3 to phase 4, whatever that looks like for you. Create a bridge and be like, hey, you're here. You need to get to here. Here's the exact system in place. And it doesn't need to be new, fancy, custom. And I would not have believed me when I told myself that. So.
And why wouldn't you have believed yourself?
Because I believed that everything he needed to be super fancy and super extra all the time. I love training. I'm a huge training nerd. So I was like, well, if you don't have like undulating periodization, how can you even get results, bro? You know, not realizing that like, you know, they say like, don't write your own prices based off of your wallet. Like you might think something's expensive when someone else is like, oh, that's all, that's it. So don't write your own prices based off of your perception of price. You don't need to write your clients' workouts based off of your perception of fitness, right? If you're a trainer, you're probably a bit extra anyways, right? Your clients don't need fancy exercises. They need to move and they need to be consistent. Like, and if you can start them off doing that, like most of the time, if they stay safe, then they stay consistent, you're going to get the results you're looking for, and you can always turn up, you can always add in. But when you throw the whole kitchen sink at them day one, they're overwhelmed. They're not going to do it and they're not going to be consistent. You're going to lose a client.
So if I were to summarize for everyone really what we've discussed today, I think the big theme is simplicity, and having a simple roadmap that you're planning to take your clients on and really get them to buy in quickly to what you're doing by keeping it simple. And then later on, layering in some more technical, more advanced things as that journey continues to really retain clients on a longer term basis, like you've been able to do for a couple of years with some of your clients.
Because once people get it and they figure it out, then they like the complexity. They like the nuance and the stuff, but they can't feel that while they're still kind of in like fight or flight mode, being like, I need to lose weight. I'm having a really rough time. And you're like, oh yeah, we're going to get a Bulgarian split squat, but we need a little bit more hip lean forward. That way we can target the glute max. And you're going to use we're going to do a contralateral dumbbell hold. And people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah.
It's the same with what I do, like with helping trainers take their business online. If I was like, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to build out a funnel. We're going to create some ads. You're also going to build a website. We're going to start an email campaign. I'm going to put you on 4 different social media platforms, and you're going to have to do campaigns on each one of them. And you're going to need to do reels. And also we're going to layer in some stories and make sure we have CTAs in every single one of your posts. They'll be like, what are you talking about? Right? And it's the same when it comes to what we do. Although we may have all this knowledge and all these skills and all these things that we can provide, our clients are coming to take a complex problem and make it a simple solution. Like that's what they're looking for. They're paying us money to take something complex and make it simple, but it doesn't mean it can't get complex later on. It's just about like knowing when to introduce the next phase, the next thing. Once the basics, the fundamentals, the easy quick win stuff has been achieved, then we start layering and tacking things on later on. So hopefully everyone found this useful. If you did, let us know in the comments below. Let us know what your takeaway was. I know simplicity was a big one for a lot of people. Give this a thumbs up or a like if you're watching this live or watching it back. On the replay later on, I think Nate would appreciate any comments that you guys drop. And equally, if we get this seen by more people, I'll bring on more guests and be able to give you some more insights from great coaches like Nate. And so, Nate, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you spending some time.
Can I ask you a quick question though? I just wanted to, like, I know we're kind of.
He's going to put me on the spot here, guys. Now he's going to catch me off guard. Here we go. Let's go. I'm ready.
So in my business, going back to this transformation timeline, I help people they already escape the black hole. That's the first one. Then they get the momentum going. That's the second one. Then they're in the valley of death. Okay. So I help people go from the valley of death to the long road home, stage 3 to stage 4. There's 5 stages in my transformation timeline. That's what I do really, really well. How do you describe what you do with remote coaches? What phase? Question. What does that look like?
Yeah. So I help personal trainers take their fitness business online, set up the infrastructure to get consistent clients.
So you don't help people go from 100K a month to $1 million a month?
No.
I love that.
That's not my remit.
I think that if you're listening to this right now, think about what Alex just said. And if you can't just say that for your own business, you can't describe that in one sentence for your own business, then you're missing out on a lot of business. You're not making as much money as you want. And if you're a personal trainer looking to take your business online, get in front of someone like Alex, talk to him. And you can see that he has the system. It's been proven. It's not gonna stress you out. He's taken hundreds and hundreds of people through this. This is going to shortcut your process so much in the same way that we shortcut our clients' results. And they don't have to meander through keto and YouTube and all this stuff. Get in front of the right coach for exactly where you're at, and you're going to see everything just start happening.
Appreciate the plug. Like, I didn't ask Nate to do this. Nate just put me on the spot, guys. We got a nice little comment come through. I want to direct people to one last thing before we wrap up. Dennis reminded me of your quiz show, the No Carb quiz show. So everyone, just do yourself a favor right now. Go on to Facebook, I think is where people can find this. If you're on Facebook right
Instagram's
now,
probably the best. Instagram,
okay,
Low Carb
Instagram
Hustle.
or Facebook. I see it on Facebook. So it's the low carb quiz. Is that what you've got?
I call it the low carb game show.
Okay, this is just like comedy genius. Go check out Nate's Facebook. Just type in Nate Parmel. Go to Instagram. What's your handle on Instagram?
Low Carb Hustle.
Low Carb Hustle. I want to see you on Reels consistently with these if you're not already, because they would pop. I know we had this conversation before, but it's hilarious. Like, I'm loving it. And this is what Nate was talking about when it comes to like kind of finding your own voice and your uniqueness and your personality, and what's going to kind of like show who you are, because people buy coaches. You said that, right? People buy coaches, not programs. They buy coaches. And so I think that's important that you get your personality into what you do, because that's why people are going to decide to work with you over Nate, because you're different people.
Yeah, if you're not having fun, what's the point?
Totally. Let's end on that. All right, guys. Hopefully you found this valuable. We'll see you guys soon on the next episode of the podcast. Take care.